Good evening once again. I welcome all of you. Um, Last time we concluded the data selection techniques using Python logic. Let me go to the notebook. I think this was the notebook of where we perform some selection analysis. Just before we dive into the second phase of using Python. Remember when we started, I said uh, analyzing data with Python actually uh, requires you understanding data cleaning techniques or functions, and then data selection or filtering techniques as well. And then before the aggregate analysis with the Python aggregate function. And then finally, we end the training with data visualization. Okay, so this was exactly where we stopped in our last class. I think it means that the last function we use in selection or selecting data was sorting. Am I correct? Yeah, from what I have here, if this is the notebook I use for this particular section. So we have done join, and we have also gone through all the selection techniques, how to concatenate data, how to select headers, value, and store them in a valid variable. Okay, so this session, we shall be looking at introduction to application of Python aggregates functions analysis. So we are going to be citing some scenarios where you can employ this set of aggregate functions while analyzing data with Python. So let me quickly go to my slide and give us the introduction. So data analysis or aggregate functions in pandas. Most of these functions will actually be consulting them from pandas as one of the library that offers us numerous functions for drawing insights from our data sets. So how can we define or describe data aggregation? Or what does it mean to aggregate data? So data aggregation is often used to provide statistical analysis. That is the keyword. So I can even stop there. That has even defined it all. So it means that this set of analysis we are diving into, they are grouped under statistical analysis. And as we all know, most data decisions are based on statistics. That's just the facts. So just to explain further, I said aggregation is often done on a large scale through software tools known as data aggregators. But in this case, we are going to be using Python inbuilt aggregate functions to manipulate our data for us to derive actionable insights. Okay, so the very first one I want to dive into is the summation. So there's no way you can talk of statistics or statistical analysis that you will not mention summation. Summation is the bedrock. It's just like the foundation of all of these statistical functions across different data analysis or analytics tools. So when a large number of data are given just to, to capture some scenarios or some instances where summation will be required. So where you are given a very large data set that is beyond what you can easily sum up. So you will definitely require the summation function to help you to summarize it. Okay, so that is one of the importance of the sum function. Now, it is one of the most used business analysis tool or function, even across other tools. So that is when you are analyzing business data, most time your analysis will be based on summing the profit, summing the expenses, summing. So it's one of the most used business analysis function. So let's start by looking at different scenarios where you can actually apply this set of aggregate function. So like I said, we are starting with the summation. Though the data we are working with right now may not or will not align with some of these syntax highlighted, but I will use this syntax to explain the concept, and then we will now go to our data set and look at it and then see some valid questions that we can answer with the sum function, because ordinarily you are not supposed to apply this set of functions on only one set of data. So as a data analyst, there is need for you to be vast. There is need of you to relate some of these techniques to different data sets. That is how you can actually be good at this function. Okay, so now here I'm using a data set with a header called total, so which can represent total profit in the data set we are going to work with. So the analysis question we are asking here with this sum. So the key focus here is the sum. Now, this particular sum and the syntax I'm using here simply denotes that we are not summarizing based on defined criteria. So this is general summary. This is when you are summarizing or you are summing up all the values in a particular column without any specification of criteria like sum up where value are or is greater than. So this particular sum is when you are adding everything. So what is the question here? What is the total revenue? So this company wants to know the total revenue generated, probably from all the city or all the transaction made and recorded in the data set. So this header is where they have imputed all the revenue. Now, this DA here is the name of the data set in which you have this header holding all the revenue generated value. So which means you are saying from data selection concept, I was telling us that the reason why it is important you understand those data selection technique, because I'm directly applying one of them here. So when you call the name of your data object and you envelope a header or an attribute or a feature in the square brackets with the quotation, it means you are referring to one of the header and its values in that particular data set. So what we are indirectly communicating here is that what from the whole of this data set with other header, you are pulling out only the values in total and then you are summing them up. That is the meaning of this sentence. I want to believe that is clear, sir, before we go for
Yes.
the application. Okay. So please let's endeavor to be writing the syntax. So let's quickly go to our data set and see what the kind of question we can answer with that syntax. Now, this is sys inventory data set, an Amazon data set comprises of so many headers. So if I could just want to call out the headers alone, so that we know which one of them do I actually want to sum up its value. So I could just say the name of the data set. Let me find out the name of the data set is this particular one is the one we have. Okay, yeah, we have sorted this in ascending order. I believe the name of the data set is Amazon. So let me just confirm that. I think it's Amazon. All right, so I'm correct. Now, I want to call out only the header so that I will know which one of them do I want to sum up the values under it. So I will just do Amazon dot columns. So now I have all the headers called out. Now, unfortunately, there are some headers that we need to have. Okay, yeah, I think we have effected the correction. We have added the underscore. That's a good one. Now, let's assume the task here given to us as a data analyst, or the insight we want to derive from the data set, is that analyze, or what is the total profits from all the countries, the total profit from all the country. Okay, because we have country here. So the company wants to know how much they have made from all the country transaction. So the syntax will simply be, let's say what, let's give it a descriptive where we want to store the result, the output, total profit, let's say total profit equals to the name of the data set is Amazon. Then from Amazon, select the header is a string, select total profit, because that is where you have the values you want to sum up. Select total profit, and then which function we add up the values you must have selected, sum. And then, of course, if you write it like this without adding the parenthesis brackets, it's going to output something. Let's write so that you see what I'm talking about. So if I reference or I call the data object name for me to see the outcome, you see what you get. You see the way it sums it up. Okay, so if I come here now and say, okay, dot reset underscore, not correct with my reset underscore index, just for us to have it in a proper view. Let's see what we're going to get. So function object has no attribute, what? Reset index. Okay, so let me eliminate this. Now, I just want us to know that if you do not add the brackets, it's going to output. Now, I was trying to find out the breakdown of this output. So this is just like, it's still giving us the aggregate summation, but we just need a single metric output. So I will just add the bracket and then display it again. Okay, so now this is, now, like I said, as a data analyst, there should be a particular cell or either maybe another external application like PowerPoint or Word, where after executing any of these command and you have derived an insight or a result, you study it and write down your observation. Where it's necessary for you to give some advice, then you capture that under recommendation. Okay, so this is the total profit we have realized from all the country. Now, as we continue, we are going to also bring in another summation, but then it will be, okay, we want to know from a particular country. So we might have interest on a particular country that, okay, out of this total generated revenue, we want to know the percentage of one particular country in this. Probably you are considering investing some money, and you want to find out which of the country, or maybe you have one particular country in mind. And before you go ahead with your investments, you want to find out how that country is doing in terms of revenue or profit generation. So that is just how I've been able to apply this. You can see that I added up everything under the total price without any specific criteria. Now let's look at for average, because we also have aggregate function that can help us to perform average analysis in Python. Now, the mean, average. So in Python, there is no inbuilt function called average. Instead, it's represented with mean of data data set is found by adding all. I'm defining average function. What is average function? I say what? The average or the mean of data sets is found by adding all numbers in the data set, then dividing by the number of values in the set. Just like we are taught even in secondary school. If I'm asked to add up 5 numbers, 1 to 5, I'm to add them together, divide by what? 5 of them. But the computer is going to be doing that for us underground. So what it's going to do is that to sum up everything, unlike the sum that only give us the summation, the average we sum up, we give us that value we have from sum and divide it before giving us the actual results. So let's look at a cited scenario here. So capturing the same data. Now we just analyze the total profits, the total profit. Now here we want to analyze average. So still using my slide, what is the average of total value? So the only thing I'm going to change is just this. So let's go to the data set so that it will look more real. So here is application of Python average aggregate. Aggregate function. So what is the analysis question? The question is that what is the total average of total profit that we just analyzed, total profit. So that is the question. So I will say average or total average, total underscore average is equals to total underscore average is equals to the name of the data set, which is Amazon. From this, select the same header, which is the total profit. So let me just quickly take it from here. Control C, paste, then concatenate the aggregate function, which is the sum, and then run it. So to view my results, I'll simply call the data object name and then run it. So this is the total average. Total average. So let's quickly look at the next one. The next one is the application of count concept. So counts function in data analysis is used to know how many times an entry appears in a data set. So this one is focusing on counting of how many, not adding. So there are valid analysis questions we can answer with the count function, particularly after you have performed the summation or average. There might be need for the company to know when you start aggregating it based on the categorical variables in the data set. So you may want to know why one of the variable is outperforming over the other. So you may want to know whether it's based on the number of transactions that were made on that product that is actually making a total profit higher than others. So sometime before you come to conclusion as a data analyst, there is need for you to perform counting to know why. Now, let's cite a scenario here. How many entries are in the Yagon data set? In our own case, it's going to be how many entries are in the Amazon what data set. So the company wants to know the total number of entries that actually generated this analyzed average and the analyzed what sum. Okay, so now let's say application of count function in Python. Application of count function in Python. So what is the task? How many? The task is what? How many? How many transactions? How many transactions generated the above calculated total profits? Total profits. That's the question, because here you have analyzed the total profit. The company wants to know, okay, how many transactions actually generated this total profit? So the question, let's say count, let's say total underscore number underscore trans is equals to the data set name Amazon. From Amazon, select that same total profit. I think it should be here. Just paste it. Then concatenate counts. And then run it. So you get your results stored in the total. So I will just, sorry, this is not the total I'm calling.
Underscore number.
Yes, for number, which is this. Okay, so we have 100. We have 100. Okay, now because if I do .info, we should be able to correlate it with this. So if I say, for example, now Amazon.info, let's see whether it's correct, whether we are going to have correct. So you can see that we have so that confirms that the function is correct. All right, so that is how to apply the counts. So we are still on the general without condition. Now, the next set of analysis, this is where we want to start applying criteria, and we are starting with single criteria, and then we now move to multiple criteria. So single criteria aggregate. So those same functions we have been considering, but this time around, we are not going to be adding everything. We are not going to be adding everything under the total profit. Instead, we are going to say we want to get the summation of a particular country profit. So let's quickly look at the first scenario here. So the first scenario here is the sum if is our data output objects. So the DA there is the name of the data set, And then the query is what we are using to tax. So the focus here is what? The introduction of query function, which is used once you start bringing in criteria in your analysis using the same set of aggregate functions. So I'm going to explain this so that we can understand how it works. So this one is going to be more useful to you, so pay attention to it. Because most of the business analysis, you will definitely be involving this kind of logic. Now, the sum if, like I mentioned before, is the name of my data set. That is the new variable where the expected output will be stored. And then we have the DA is the current data set where I want to query only transaction where payment method is equals to e-wallets. So in other words, this particular data set has different payment method. We have cash, we have e-wallet, we have credit card. Now, what the company wants to know now is that, okay, want you to analyze the total profit generated where payment method was e-wallet. So let's quickly go to our data set so that we can apply it. So let me just call out the headers again, and then just for us to columns. Now, what we want to do here, let me use comments. So this is application or save use Python aggregate functions, but for single condition. For single condition. So what is the tax here? Now, our analysis question this time around is, what is the total? What is the total profit generated from only, let's look at the value. Let's focus on total profit generated where a sales channel, or let's pick a particular country, total profit generated from this particular country to value. Let's say, for example, to value. The company want to know the profit generated from only that particular country. Only that particular country. Trying to make my cell active. All right. From only what to value. Excuse me. So now the syntax is going to be to value equals to, or let's say to value total profit. To value total profit, for example. Now, the name of the data set where we have that country is Amazon. Then concatenate it with the function that is going to perform the query. And then pass in the parameters the function is going to work with, such as the header in the data set where you have that criteria for the summation, which is to value. So I'll capture that header. So the header here is country. So I'll take this first. Now, you have to put it in a single string. Then the criteria will be in double string. Now, you will now say equals to, then the to value is coming in. Sorry, I thought, so let me copy it. I want to avoid typographical error. Control C. Right now, what this section, this is the end of the query function. So what this query function will do is to select only those particular entry. Then what do you want to do with those values? That's why you are bringing this. Once the function query have selected all the transaction from to value, then what do you want to do with them? Then you now say that, okay, the total profits, the values under the total profits, then I want you to what? To sum them up. I want you to sum them up. That is what we are saying. So now to see the result, I will just say to value, and then run it. So this is the total profit generated from only what? To value as a country. So maybe you want to make certain decision as the CEO. You are not interested in investing your capital in all the country, but there are two countries that you have interest on, and you want to quickly know the profit each of these two countries are generating so that you know which ones you have the highest percentage of your investment. So let's say, okay, we want to compare it with another country value. Let's say what? Russia. Let's say we want to compare it with Russia. You want to know the total profit, want to compare the total profit from to value with the one of Russia. And they will now know whether we are to go with Russia or to value. Now, to do that, we have already done for to value. So let's quickly do for Russia. So what I'll simply do, I think I can just copy this. I hope it will not time out. Okay, so I have to remove the session just to save our time. Then from here, I am changing here to Russia. Changing here to Russia, then the same profit. Okay, the same profit. Right, so let's see the value for that. So you can see that if we look at these two values, which one is higher? This is this is 900 and 900 plus
951,000.
Good. Now this is
51.
224. So definitely
224,000.
yeah, definitely to value has what? Highest what? Profit. So this will help the organization in distributing their investment. So that is one good thing you as a data analyst have assisted them on. Now you have been able to guide them in making the right decision. Okay, so that is for one criteria. That is for one criteria. So this is actually what we interpreted due to the data set we are working with. Okay, so now let's quickly look at the average. I just want to complete this set, the single criteria and the general ones we have done. Now let's look at the average question. The same set of functions we have used, but this time around, like I said, we are applying condition, adding everything in
Have you seen what I sent?
Are you with me?
Hmm?
Are you with me? Okay, I thought you.
I'm with you.
Okay, so now let's look
I'm
at
with you.
the next one. Now, the same thing. Let's look at application of. Let's look at mean. Application of mean function as well. Application of mean function. So let's look at valid analysis question. It's just like what we just calculated. So we want to also compare their average. So I will say to value underscore AV equals to. So the name of the data set is Amazon. From concatenate it with the query function. Then activate your string, single string. Then country comes in here. Country is equals to, and then to value, then select which of the values are you working with, the total profit, Control C, total profit, then concatenate mean instead of sum. So that settles it. Now to see my results, just say to value average. So this is to value what? Average. This is to value average. Then if you want to do the same thing for Russia, the same thing. Okay, so the next one is for the counting. So the same concept, it's just for you to know the syntax. The same concept. So if I want to know how many of them, that this is very important. Like when we did the average analysis or the sum analysis, we discovered that one of the country performed than the other. Now, how will you conclude as the reason why to value did better than Russia? So you need to find out whether it's based on the total number of transactions that happens there. So let's quickly say what application of counts. Application of count function in the same single criteria analysis. So here the question is how many transactions from to value country as a country. So I will say counts to value is equals to, the name of the data set is Amazon, concatenate it with the query. Once you understand the syntax, it's simple. Country equals to value equals to value. Then specify the criteria for the counting as well. Specify the criteria for the counting. Let's say criteria for the counting is still this. Then this time around, instead of mean, you put the count function. That is all. To view the answer, let's say count to value, count underscore to value. So what is wrong? Count to value is not defined. Be sure there any mistake here? Okay, so let me run everything again. Count to value is not defined. What is the error here? Okay. Okay, let me see. Total was correct. Oh. The C was capital letter. I think that is the reason. So Control C, Control V. All right, so we have just one. No wonder the average gave us the same value, because I was going to, look into this. The average, and the sum. The sum
Okay.
was the same value. So now we find out, because it's just 1 divided by 1, you still have the same information. So,
Okay.
so that is actually what I want to cover. So the assignment I want to give to you now, because the next class will be rounding up with the advanced condition. This is where we will go beyond just one criteria, where you can go as much as possible, answering multiple criteria question using the same set of aggregate functions, sum, count, average. So what your assignment is for you to get a data set that you feel that will allow you to apply all the aggregate functions, starting from the general application to single criteria application. You were supposed to submit the previous assignment. That was the reason why I canceled yesterday's meeting, because I noticed that some of us here, we are not applying. We are just accumulating the lectures. So I see it as there's no reason of having it twice, since that's if having it twice not giving us time to relate or to practice. We are supposed to be working with all these techniques. That is the only way they can be part of us. So do you have any questions so far?
No.
Okay, so if you don't have question, your assignment is for you to go and practice, create a new notebook, and then get a rich data set, and then perform all this analysis, twitch them different ways, and then you present it before we continue in our next meeting. I hope that is clear, sir.